I mean, you have two guys who've kind of done it in all phases, but PEDRO was one of the few people, other than he's in
I'll never forget when looking at PEDRO here, top 3 rivals in SuperCell. His rivals, Muhammad Light Mugi and Samuel Bosoto. Fun stuff. No Lucas mentioned here, but
inconsistently, and it puts some of those players who've had runs like that. Puts the runs of how long Surgical Goblin was good, how long Ruben was good, how long Mugi. I mean, Mugi is still here this weekend. We'll see how he performs. It puts a lot of those performances in more perspective, and of course, the performance of Muhammad Light as well, when you think about just how hard it is to be good for that long.
All right, hop into game 1. We have PEDRO at the top of your screen with what looks to be a very solid Lava Hound deck. First, the Lava deck of the day. Lucas here with one of the more trendy ladder decks that I've seen on the leaderboard. Roll Giant, Berserker, Furnace, really interesting deck. And then, of course, the minions as well. PEDRO does have the arrows ready for the minions, though. I don't know. It might be fairly difficult for Lucas to defend these air pushes, especially if PEDRO does have the lightning for that Furnace.
RG to the right-hand side. And Skelly Drags plus the Brawler going to work, but the Evo, or not the Evo, the Rage doing a little bit to help support on the Royal Giant. So when you talk about Lucas's game plan here against the Lava Hound deck, how much of it is about trying to keep PEDRO from feeling comfortable playing Lava Hounds? How much of it is about like lane play decision? Where do you put sort of the keys to this for Lucas?
I think one of the keys is definitely to apply pressure, but wow, PEDRO actually finding the opportunity to play the Lava Hound. Like you said, I do think applying pressure, preventing Lava Hound from being placed is definitely a big one. But now we have a Lava Hound, Spear Empress. Lightning is in the deck, and the Spear Empress is going to 2-shot. He does get it taken out, but now what do you have for these Lava Pups?
And the answer is really not very much. Lava Pups in, and that's just going to be one of those ones that maybe you expect to see Lucas talk about on Twitter later. And either way, that changed very quickly. And you talk about Lava Hound and how so much of Lava Hound play at a mid-tier level is just play it slow, set up your Lava Hounds in the back. The aggression from PEDRO in that one to just
the other thing that is cool is that he actually doesn't have a coach or analyst to help him out, and he's been qualifying for all the monthly finals on his own. So I'm sure all of these thoughts are going through his head. Looks like he is going to a little bit more of a quick cycle with the Snowball. Most likely going to be seeing a Goblin Drill deck, a Goblin Drill Golden Knight. Snowball. PEDRO, on the other hand, going to his bread and butter, Miner cycle. It's just what he's known for. It's gonna be an interesting matchup, but we'll see how the decks continue to unfold.
First 40 seconds away, and little exchanges back and forth. Goes to make sure the Berserker does not tap on that left-hand side.
Okay. Roll Delivery, interesting. Don't see Roll Delivery in these decks super often, unless it's paired with Rocket. That could make sense, but I think a Poison would definitely be ideal for PEDRO in this situation. Just something to help deal with the Magic Archer. He does not poison the Marcher here, though, so that makes me think that PEDRO's last card might actually be the Rocket for that secondary win condition.
And that's a pretty significant connection there from the Marcher early on.
Yeah.
We'll see. And Delivery is interesting, too. I mean, you can go back to when Delivery still had Knockback, which was such a crazy version.
I totally forgot
of Royal
about
Delivery. Yeah. Yeah, one of the... But at the time was completely insane. And now, obviously, no longer has that feature.
That's what we need. Evo Roll Delivery, Rich. Evo Roll Delivery. Bring back the knockback every third time you play it. That sounds super strong, though. I mean, it already does a solid amount of damage. Spawning in a recruit with a shield. It's one of the best defensive cards in the game. I think it's one of the most underrated cards. The only thing that really holds it back is that it is a spell. It a lot of time can clog up your hand, as well as it can only be played on your side of the map, of course, as a spell. So it's more of a troop than anything.
I mean, so that's interesting, talking about Evo for delivery. I mean, the simple one is delivery gives you an Evo recruit. Not that interesting to me. Delivery gives you, lets you, again, here you go. Here's the rocket cycle. Golden Knight will run far away from that. So that's just a rocket on tower. Good use of the ability for Lucas to escape the rocket. So you could do, the Evo could give the delivery knockback. Okay. What if the Evo let you deliver anywhere?
Yeah, I've thought about that for the longest time. I think that would be super OP. Like, people just be psyching deliveries and just play on the tower over and over again. It'd be like the new, like, best miner, honestly.
Well, we'll see. I guess it depends on how many cycles it gets. Either way, cycle working right now for PEDRO, who's up one game and up a ton of damage. So far, Lucas not finding really any way to get to the second level, and with this drill deck, he needs to find that. Magic Archer hasn't had much of an impact since earlier in, and that one will connect here. Miner going to go to the backside. Ewiz will pick it up.
Magic
Will
Archer,
this Magic Archer be close enough? There we go.
There, yeah, he gets 2 hits there. The Tesla is placed fairly well. The Ice Spirit, not so much. He's actually really struggling to take this Magic Archer off the board. He did fail it earlier. Just thinking about how Lucas could win this game, I think he failed it earlier, but an Evo Snowball into a really good Marcher connection could work. The biggest problem is that PEDRO doesn't have like a really good tank though. Now he has the roll delivery, he has the Berserker, but those can die pretty easily. A lot of the time the Marcher, you want to line through like a Knight or something to get a really solid connection.
Miner plus the Goblins. Ewiz does not turn around to the Miner, so Lucas forced to play a Golden Knight on that as well. And that was just a half step high on that Ewiz. Miner to the outside again. The cycle creates for PEDRO. And remember, still Rocket to try to make some room. So it's maybe one more defense for PEDRO to secure this 2-0 against Lucas. Lucas now playing into the right-hand lane, operating in both sides. It's going to have to be a drill. I don't think Magic Archer is going to get an opportunity here. Does get a shot through the Berserker. Miner gets on tower. And now PEDRO can throw a victory rocket. GG, well played. And PEDRO makes short work of Lucas in the opening round of competition and sends him down to the lower bracket.
Yeah, PEDRO's defense was just locked in there. I mean, he had the roll delivery, take out the Magic Archer and quickly. Big smile from PEDRO here. Super happy, probably talking with his coach about
in the past. So I think that one is like a good psychological battle and profiling match for the two of them, which of a Samuel Basoto. You have the nihilist in Lucas. And then you have this like eternal optimist, this really kind of happy-go-lucky guy in PEDRO who's really just kind of happy to be playing at a super high level in a game that he loves. So lots of great personalities out of there. And giant skeleton from both of these guys to open things up. Okay.
Mad Scientist bringing the first pancake tower of the day. Level 12 giant skeleton on the board. Probably going to be like a giant skeleton goblin giant deck, honestly. PEDRO, probably with the Cannoneer, probably going to end up being a graveyard skeleton deck on the other end of things here.
Okay, so first pancake tower of the day. Thoughts on this tower troop overall and where it fits in this competition?
I honestly hate this tower troop. I mean, it just makes things a little wide. Some level 12 or just next level units. Usually you're going to get your level up in your Goblin Giant or your tank for your Goblin Giant, which is usually P.E.K.K.A. or in this case Giant Skeleton. Yeah, I don't know. It just gets a little crazy. That's all I'll say.
Where are you feeling about the viability? Do you think that this is good? What do you think about what Sam's doing here?
It's definitely viable. He's used decks like this in the qualifier, in the group stage. I mean, obviously, beatdown, like I said, it's been in a tough spot. because it's hard to break through the really strong cards, especially the evolutions. But when it comes to the Pancake Tower, it's basically just get super high level units, use your Curse Rage to speed them up, increase some damage, and then just break through that way. Instead of like the normal like breakthrough of like pass beat down X with lightning, it's about high levels, going fast, getting lots of damage, and breaking through.
Gob Giant in front of the level 12 Furnace. Curse trying to do some work on its spawns. But damage starting to stack up a little bit for Sam in this right-hand lane, 1977. Yeah. And, you know, we haven't seen all the pieces here yet. So we'll see if there's other methods that Sam has for breaking through to the next level. But when you look at Pedro's side, what are the keys to coming out on top in this one?
I really like what he's doing with the zaps and the curse here. He's using the curse to kind of counteract the extra damage from Sam's curse. It's really a weird interaction. But sometimes, like, if your opponent spawns in some goblins with your curse, you can turn those goblins into your goblins with another curse. So I think that if he's able to use his curse effectively there, and of course, that also prevents him from, Sam actually, from using minions on defense from the graveyard as well, because then the Curse Rage could just drop down. So I think if he's able to keep these defenses up and get some graveyards on tower with the giant skellies a tank, that's definitely going to be his path to victory.
And you take a look at some of the ladder finishes. Sam does have a #1 finish from back in 2020. I remember that one. That was a pretty cool one. And then Pedro, of course, you can see all single digits there on his top 10 ladder results. Here we go, Graveyard in. Opting to Bar Barrel. We'll see. Yep. I don't think he's going to curse here. Rage instead.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, just seems like Sam got some damage early game with these big pushes with the Goblin Giant, and I just trying to hold on to that. Yeah, I mean, that's a good call out too. Like, yes, he doesn't have to play minions. And look, the Goblin Giant getting another hit on the tower, but because he has the curse too, he can use the curse on defense. We'll see if he opts to do that now.
And curse comes out from the opposite direction.
Right.
16:38, 30 seconds left. Sam's in a position where he does have to score.
Right.
He cannot sit back and play defense here. He might go ahead and rage this Goblin Giant on the left-hand side, playing Curse on defense, trying to stop more of the graveyard damage, but oh my word, that completely turns upside down. Goblin Giant on the left-hand side, can it do enough? Can the Goblin Giant do enough? Oh my word,
gosh.
Sam absolutely going mad on the left-hand side. 4 seconds left, 8:21. Sam in both lanes, OP Sam in the very last seconds cooks up something with the chef to get it done.
Well said, Rich. Very well said. GG's, Mad Scientist coming out, making it happen.
Focus, and Sam able to come out with some nice options moving forward, as he's going to go with a double bait deck, Wall Breakers and Skeleton Barrel, and Pedro with some cycle cards and an Evo Cannon.
Interesting. Spear Empress, Evo Cannon, cycle with an Evo Ice Spear. I'm just trying to figure this out, what this could be. I mean, it really could be anything. Okay, Royal Hogs, fun. I actually really like this idea. Sam with a bunch of bait cards here, not having the Skeleton King for defense, but he uses it on offense. Earthquake being forced out. Mother Witch probably gets decent damage here. Skeleton Barrel coming through though.
Mother Witch gets really good damage here, and Pedro has to wait a little bit, get his spells back into a good situation. And he's going to have to play here on the Berserker, and this is going to give Sam a nice little 2 elixir lead, plus some damage.
That was a really nice cannon there. Just making the Skelly Barrel pop while taking out the Mother Witch. Nicely played.
You can take a look at the badges up there, and CRL performances in the solo eras, right? This does not include teams eras. You can see Sam with his finishes in CRL all these previous years, so the solo has not made World Finals. Pedro with a #2 and #3 finish back-to-back. And it's going to be a question of where do you put Pedro as, especially if Pedro qualifies for finals and has a pretty good performance. if he doesn't win a world championship, but has these two top 3 finishes, where do you end up putting him in the solo rankings? Will be a fun discussion to be had.
Really nice Evo cannon here from Pedro. That's the timing that it looks easy, but I've struggled with figuring out exactly how it works. But just making the skeleton barrel pop and then having the Evo cannon barrage drop down and deal with those skeletons. Very nicely played. He's just up damage, just a solid amount of damage here from the earthquake cycle, and continues to use these cannons really effectively. Wall breakers this time though, blocking, keeping the Dark Gob alive. Maybe that will kind of change the game here a bit as he continues to get a little bit of chip, even more chip on the right-hand lane.
Couple swings from the Berserker. That Dark Goblin hung out for a long time.
Yeah.
Tons of value. 17, I think that says 35? Oh, 88 on the right-hand side.
Wallbreaker's bridge, skeletons here. Sometimes, okay, skeletons do full counter here. Skeleton King ready for defense with the Mother Witch and the Dark Gob. This is so fascinating. This is why we love to watch Sam play. I've never seen Mother Witch and Dark Gob in the same deck before like this. Evo Cannon does get so much value once again, though.
Evo Wallbreaker's right-hand side. Earthquake has to come out to defend against those. Wallbreaker tries to escape, doesn't get there. Mother Witch does some damage in the left-hand lane. Right now, things are fairly thin. 1788 top right-hand corner, 1711 bottom left-hand corner with a little over 90 seconds left in our sudden death period. What do you think is going to end up deciding the flow of this game in the end?
Royale's getting a lot of damage. I think that what's going to really decide this is being able to outcycle the Skeleton King. If Pedro's able to outcycle the Skeleton King here, he's going to get so much damage coming through from the Royal Hogs, especially since the champ can only have one person on the board at a time.
Look at the Berserker that Pedro just let through on the right-hand side. I was sitting there waiting for him to defend it, and Pedro just completely blanks on there, and that is, you know, I gotta say, that is one of the most shocking losses that I have seen in a long time. Pedro just completely blanked on the Berserker, and something put him into maybe
Clash Royale. I don't know, maybe on like a plane or something. I feel like you can't do that on like a normal computer game. I mean, maybe with like Starlink.
Here we go. Game number 1, Pedro and Curry. Pedro bottom of your screen, Curry at the top. Let's go.
Mortar the bridge right away from Curry. It is going to get distracted by the opposite lane wall breaker, and then the Tesla does drop down from Pedro. Interesting. So minor poison wall breakers at the bottom with a potentially probably going to be a minor mortar bait here at the top. I feel like right away, I mean, we talk about a little bit how, you know, if you play a deck that your opponent is very good at, it can be a little bit of a disadvantage. Obviously, Pedro, known as one of the best mortar minor players in the world. So I feel like he's really just going to know exactly the interactions here, not only for defense, but also for offense.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. How much do you, obviously, we'll talk about you in the E-Giant universe, and you play it a lot and play against everything, but how much do you play the opposite matchup against your deck in order to learn about how that's played?
That's a good point. I think that happens a lot at the high level, at these pro level. So for anyone back at home that's wants a little bit of clarification, basically, if your main deck, or if you deck that you're trying to practice and you're struggling versus certain matchup, sometimes hopping in a friendly battle and playing the opposite side of the matchup can really help you kind of understand the certain interactions, not only for the opposite side, but also to give you a good idea on how to break through in that game. And I definitely think that happens a lot. I think that's a very common idea for these pros.
Skelly Barrel to the right-hand side. Evo Tesla to meet it at the bridge. First 2 minutes away into double elixir time. And so far, slight chip for Pedro on the left-hand side. Curry opting to build up in that lane, giving some poison value.
I really like this Tesla placement. Another common idea with the Tesla here is, like, if you're using the Tesla Evo specifically on defense to defend what we saw the Skeleton Barrel, instead of playing it low on your side, play it all the way up, because that increases the chances of the skeleton evolution, or not the skeleton, but the Tesla evolution, and getting more value in the future.
Tesla again working high. Poison trying to work on the skeleton barrel. A little bit of damage in. 25-21. Wallbreaker connects on the right-hand lane.
Yeah, and minions just being played so aggressively with the bridge, and you can see why right here. With the extra range from the minions, the chances for them locking in the tower, that minor tanking, are just so much. It just happens so much more often. It's honestly so annoying. Minion's super strong after that buff.
Right-hand side, and same story once again.
Yeah. Yeah, Evo Tesla doing a great job. Curry is controlling decently with this Spear Empress. The problem is that Pedro's just up so much damage, and I don't know. Curry needs to get a way to get some damage on offense. I'm trying to think how. It really seems like Pedro's doing a great job controlling every mortar with the Tesla, and Curry doesn't actually have miner in this deck either. He's just using Skeleton Barrel and the mortar, so he needs one of those to connect. But once again, Pedro just always has an Evo Tesla in cycle.
Skelly Barrel goes to the right. Classic comes out. And the other thing too is these Spirit Empresses are just not actually getting much out of it. Like this is some of the most shut down we've seen Spirit Empress all day.
Fireball comes through, Barbarian Barrel as well. It does a pretty good job of cleaning up the Evo Wall Breakers. Mighty Miner ability does drop in, it does hit tower. And look at this Evo Mortar. This is not how you want to play, especially when there's only 30 seconds left on the clock. And then just another poison comes out from Pedro. This defense is just so locked down here. There's just no way that Curry's breaking through here.
How much of the rise of like kind of the return of minions is directly related to the Spirit Empress?
Definitely some. It definitely is a strong card to deal with it. But I would say that I would say maybe like 80% of it is just the buff. Minions were good before the buff, but after the buff, the extra range, once again, doesn't probably seem like much to most of the people watching at home. But I mean, I've literally lost a game from someone just playing minor minion over the bridge first play, and I played a spirit, and with the extra range, the minions just take it out immediately. It's I don't know how that actually changes the preparation. Like mentally, obviously you have to have confidence. In the actual gameplay preparation, maybe you do go for riskier decks here and there that can allow you to get a good matchup. Instead of just trying to go for that even matchup, maybe you need to go for the victory. I think that's probably what he needs to go for right now. He's down one game in an elimination set versus Pedro. I mean, this is gonna be tough. He's gonna have to get a good matchup and have the gameplay to back it up if he wants any chance to continue on in this tournament.
Well, poison value for Curry there at the bridge. Pedro RGs into the opposite lane.
So probably Graveyard. Graveyard with Poison Snowball makes the most sense. From Curry, RG, Electro-Wiz, another RG Electro-Wiz deck. I don't love the Electro-Wizard here. It just doesn't seem like a good pick because, well, I don't know. I guess he was worried about a Mighty Miner.
We have seen a lot of Mighty Miner today. We've seen Electro-Wiz come in clutch in some of those same situations today. So, you know, I think that's one of those things you have to think about when you're talking about deck picking, Juice, is the subtle differences of playing, of how the decks work in a dual mode versus on ladder, right? You see far more variation in these decks in dual mode than you do in pure ladder play.
Wow, RG getting some damage here. I was honestly not expecting it because, I mean, we talk about the variance of dual mode decks. Like, a lot of the time, we do see Log played with Royal Giant, but Log already used, he has to use Barbarian Barrel. But because of that, he doesn't have a great way to clear off Goblin Hut and all the Spear Gobs. He still does connect in this moment, but as we head into Double Elixir, I think that Curry's going to be in a pretty solid advantage with his Graveyard deck.
Fireball working on the Furnace in the back. Monk gonna go cross, gonna get reflection here,
Yeah.
and that will take care of the Furnace.
Wow. He timed that really well, not just for the Furnace, but also getting maximum reflection shots from the Cannoneer, taking the tower down to 1635. On the other hand of things, I mean, this defense is decent. The Graveyard is coming through for some solid damage, but at the very least, he did force the poison on the other lane.
It does kind of feel like the Berserker should be better against Graveyard than it is.
Yeah, honestly, it is pretty good versus Graveyard most of the time, but when we talk about the RNG aspect of Graveyard, you just never know when those skeletons are going to spawn, and Curry getting some pretty solid skeletons spawning on the other end of where the Berserker was in this situation.
PEDRO in range of really taking this one. That right-hand tower down to 1163 gives some poison value. Curry's been forced to give fireball value kind of a lot.
Yeah.
What does Curry need to do?
Yeah, sorry. What does Curry need to do? I think, I don't know. Like you said, he's just giving so much fireball value, and I just kind of agreed with you. But I mean, you're right. I think he needs to play his Evo Furnace, especially higher up, to at least prevent fireball value. Wow, with his Graveyard. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's what you need to do, and there you have it right there. Huge swing, and now that right-hand tower down to 408. Put pressure on for PEDRO. And he's not going to win a spell battle here. He has to play a breakthrough game. So here he goes. Evo RG right up front. Monk reflecting, but not reflecting the Cannoneer.
True. RG won't connect. Furnace gets taken on the right-hand side. Poison, that is one of the good things about Poison. But the Furnace walks out, and the RG continues to apply pressure. I'm pretty sure we're going to lock onto the Berserker there with that Fisherman. High Furnace trying to prevent fireball value, but there it is. Monk does deflect Cannoneer.
Monk gets 1, Monk gets 2, does not get 3. Poison in Graveyard, trying to kill this tower on the bottom side. Snowball in, 9 HP. Wow. Poison does it. GG, well played. Curry stays in the pocket and gets it done from way downtown. He's one of those guys where he always kind of looks nervous when you talk to him, more of a soft-spoken guy, and then somehow finds it to dial in when game time hits. So here we go. Curry, PEDRO, game number 3. Loser ends their August journey right here.
Arrow's first play is interesting. And then he goes for the Ice Spirit as well. So maybe the Drill Arrows deck that we've seen a little bit. And then Evo Zap and Ghost, probably going to be Bridge Spam. If I had to guess, probably some Boss Bandit Bridge Spam.
There we go, Boss Bandit in the back. PEDRO sets up a Sleepy Hut.
Ooh, nice Valkyrie. Preventing the lineup from the Executioner. Boss Bandit to try to get the lineup, but then a Snowball to prevent it once again. We do see a Curse here. No Zap. I mean, this Curse is not working at all the way that he had hoped. And Spear Gobs end up doing a bunch of damage here on counter push.
So really interesting. We see like this kind of two-part, this really sharp play from Curry, followed by kind of a misstep there. Do you think that maybe he thought that there'd be a little bit more damage onto the spears, or what's the thought there?
I think that he just underestimated how long the Boss Bandit would survive all of the goblins. I mean, you get the curse down, you don't need to play Zap in that situation as long as the Boss Bandit can hold the line until the Goblin Curse gets enough damage onto those spears to spawn the Gobbies. But I think he just kind of overestimated the Boss Bandit's tank ability. It did get nerfed a couple times so far.
Boss Bandit in, takes out one spear. PEDRO is content to sit back and wait for Curry to make some moves.
Wow. Really good idea. The Zap there just slightly played too early. I do think that if he did get the Zap timing to hit that last Spear Gob, if it weren't for that last Spear Gob hit, the Boss Bandit could have connected. And that's the idea once again with the instantaneous damage from stuff like Zap, but also last card Lightning. You've got to watch out for the boss Bayonet plus Lightning that we've seen are to be super successful today.
And Evo about gonna pull one Xe in. A little bit for the second one. Executioner staying away. Oh, the snowball then kind of almost works against Pedro a little bit. Puts the Xe back in line, but damage done. 15-52. Ram Rider opposite lane now. Ice Spirit gonna slow it down.
And the Spear Empress is obliterating everything. Curse plus Zap does drop on, but Snowball's ready. I mean, I don't even know, man. Spear Empress is such an interesting card. Sometimes it does nothing, and sometimes your opponent has nothing for it, and it literally just drops your tower from 2K to 631.
Evo Xe sets up on the right-hand side. Minute 42 remaining for Curry to make his argument. So far, it has fallen on deaf ears.
What a nice snowball here. Still defending, though.
Does Curry stay same lane here? And he does.
Oh, my goodness. The Lightning does drop, but... Oh, wait, the Ice Spear dies! The Ice Spear dies, the Executioner. Rain Rider does connect, but the arrows drop down, and the chance that I saw for Curry dwindles very quick.
But Curry now still alive. He's closed the gap significantly. 17-43, very different from where he was. Doesn't matter. Never mind. Pedro decides to stop me in my tracks, as well as Curry. And he will stay alive one more day. GKR Gold Edition.
Oof. Wow. Intense battle. These eliminations.
Positivity there from Ian, a guy that's very excited to be here. Yeah, one of the best content creators out there. I remember you talking to me about watching Ian's content, and I spent a lot more time watching it this year than I had. And I like that you've already got your head on your shoulders in terms of that, but it's true. We talk about the mental game in Clash Royale so much. We talk about the mental game. Looks like we are just a little slow to the step here in game number 1. Minute 15 seconds behind. Ian on the top of your screen. Pedro at the bottom. Looking pretty even though, and bottom of your screen, this is a little bit more of kind of what we expect when we see a miner plus a champion plus, you know, a spell, probably going to be a poison there at the end, as earlier we saw, you know, curse plus log. We didn't see wall breakers from Igor's deck, and it just felt like it didn't really find its footing. So here we go. Evo wall breakers back in the mix.
Right there. Oh, it is so brilliant getting to watch these incredible quick cycle players like Ian and Pedro, because we see the bridge Teslas, the high Teslas. There's just so many interactions that none of these other players are pulling off. Right there, 2 shots from the hog. And so as quick as Pedro was to go wall breakers opposite lane to pressure, Ian was just as fast, able to get the good timing on the log, and just a great interaction for him. This is going to be an exciting game to see. I love seeing Ian with hog, and I love seeing Pedro with wall breakers.
And Wallbreaker does connect on that left-hand side as we see a Monk and a Wizard cross the bridge here. A very, very late Evo Tesla, plus the minions going to do good work there as Wallbreakers go back out on the left side. Going to be a -1 trade every single time that we go Wallbreakers for guards, but obviously the guard's going to demand a response, so Log comes out. And we see Pedro down by just 1 elixir as we see another high Tesla here now from Ian. Yeah, the high Teslas, we saw a lot of those yesterday. Late Tesla here from Pedro. Minion's going to try to mitigate the damage and just barely do.
Yeah, right there. Clean defense. Evo Wallbreakers going into the Tesla. Tesla still forcing out Evo Wallbreakers. I don't know how I feel about that, and when I say that, I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure there's a reason why he did it, but it's never fun to have to use your Evo Wallbreakers knowing they're just going to die.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than getting a great positive defensive trade from them, like off a minion horde or something like that, but obviously not the case here. Miner going to go to the front left-hand side to chip away a little bit more. Mighty Miner going to meet the Monk as he crosses the bridge. Evo Wizard behind, and Evo Wizard's still one of my favorite and least favorite Evos at the same time. I hate it. I don't really play with it, but I love the fact that it's made Wizard viable.
Yeah, couldn't agree more right there. I love the Wizard. I've loved using, well, there was a time that I loved using the Witch. Now I just get frustrated. But yeah, you know, some of these 5 elixir OG cards getting back inside the meta, always a joy. And Ian just controlling the pressure with the bridge Teslas. And right there, Pedro finally able to get a little bit of value, and the Wizard gets taken off the board.
Yeah, that's a really nice predictive Tesla. Gets on top of the Wizard. One minion stays alive. Second minion's coming in. Baits out the Evo Wizard left-hand side. Obviously going to do a good job cleaning things up, but that just makes the push on the right a little bit less scary for Pedro as he just goes high Tesla here to clean up, ignores the Wizard on the left-hand side, and keeps up the pressure. So important to keep up the pressure. It's something that a lot of new wall breaker minor players don't do is, look, so much about this deck is just baiting out things that your opponent wants to use somewhere else and then just keeping up the pressure. Chip damage here, one wall breaker connection there, one couple minor shover hits here and there. That's really what you're looking for, not the big blow-up plays that are more exciting. Nice even
right
wall breaker
there.
defense.
Yeah, speaking of blowing everything up right there, minions plus log should be able to clean up that defense, and Pedro gonna have himself a victory in game number 1. I mean, that was phenomenal start to finish. There are so many minuscule interactions that Pedro did absolutely perfectly that it was impossible to keep up with every single one. Every single set he goes into, he should be running Minor Poison, and he should be running Furnace something, and that's already over half of your games. Pedro's in a great spot in this meta.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Evo Snowball coming out here. Could be Drill, could be GY. Seen a lot of it with Drill yesterday. And Valk up high, Evo Valk. Ian not feeling good about it. As you can see, we got Snowball, we got Valk, we got arrows, and Ian running some form of bait. Again, though, he just, he doesn't care that much. He's got some good cash coming in from the content creation, I'm sure, and he's got his golden tickets. So it is interesting when you see someone like Lucas who cares so much and really wants to be at World Finals, knowing that this month is already in the bag and he's gonna have to try again next month. Whereas Ian just seems a lot less affected by it. But while I'm yapping here, great mortar connection on that left-hand side.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that Pedro didn't really have any better answers. How does he want to defend kind of a late arrows right there and still forces out the guard? So Ian, I mean, playing this matchup beautifully. When we looked at the matchup, we both chuckled. That's never a good sign when you're a player trying to come back, trying to get a reverse sweep. But so far, Ian doing everything he can to bring it to a game 3.
Yeah, nice little mix-up here. I mean, the barrel plus the goblins, I guess initially you think, oh, it could be straight up regular bait, but ends up being this form of mortar bait or mortar spam, whatever you really want to call it. Kind of both those things. We talk about the Evo barrel along with the Skeleton King, and I mean, I really love this deck. I'm a really big fan of it. Obviously, being a mortar player, probably going to be Fireball in one of those last 2 spots, and then maybe just Spears, but we'll have to see what he decides to go with.
Yeah, sometimes I don't really. Okay, the Empress does make sense.
The Empress was the other one that it was. I should have just said it, Josh, but here we are.
Should have had the confidence, but that's all right. Ian, as we head into double elixir right there, should be a pretty solid fireball. He's gonna have to figure out how he wants to defend this. There's a lot of troops on the board for Ian, and just a 1 elixir Empress or a 1 HP Empress is just so powerful. It's hard to get it off the board.
I really like that fireball from Ian, just making sure that Pedro was going to have to overspend, and now just kind of feeling the pressure. Arrows is out, so the Dark Goblin stays alive. Nice hut there, though. A great hut to actually kind of stop the bleeding, and now the guards can do a decent damage, or a decent job at distracting this mortar, but now Spirit Empress coming down. Mortar's going to get 1 shot. A little bit of lag, does not. Nice snowball.
Yeah, another incredible interaction coming in from Pedro is the way that he defends Dark Goblins. I saw him do it yesterday, where the Dark Goblin is coming down the lane, and most times, if you're not quick enough, if you don't know the interaction, it's always going to be able to take out the Ice Spirit in time. Doesn't do that, and just the way he's defending with all these little micro interactions, it's just so fun to watch.
Ian really going all out here at the bridge. Dark Goblin does retarget with that nice Ice Spirit. He talked about the Spirit Empress doing, the minions doing a good job against the Expo. Spirit Empress doing a great job against all siege troops, and that's a really nice Evo Snowball. Bar Barrel ready to go though from Ian, and this is Clash Royale at the highest level. You love to see it.
Yeah, Skeleton King coming down the lane, plus the Evo Mortar. This is going to be a pretty disgusting push coming in from him. The Ice Spirit was kind of a pretty big mistake in my opinion. And the Valve not getting that final shot. Ian just controlling the game.
Yeah, Evo Mortar doesn't lock though. I mean, this is one of the benefits of playing against one of your favorite archetypes for Pedro is you just got the timing locked down perfectly, but Ian is playing a beautiful, beautiful game right now.
So 45 seconds left, just needs to figure out how he can get some offensive pressure. Spirit Empress plus the Valve should be able to clean up the mortar before it gets a shot. Not gonna be the case, so Pedro kind of quickly recognizing the only way that he's gonna be able to get the chip damage that he needs is somehow have the bar barrel out of cycle and then get the Evo snowball to help out.
Arrow going in that right-hand side, Mortar distracted by that Valkyrie. Arrows come out to clean. Ian playing some great defense, back on offense on the left-hand side. Absolutely well done here by Ian. Great control, great pressure, playing Mortar against one of the best Mortar players in the world. And that was something we actually saw at the end of the day yesterday was opponents running kind of what players are known for, and it did not work out well. We saw it happen with Arden and Igor, and then we saw it with Curry and Pedro. But right now, Ian, different level maybe, as he is able to break through your offensive pushes, especially when you're playing super spammy Mortar decks.
Yeah, it's definitely what I struggle with most when it comes to figuring out the macro of those kind of decks. I just hesitate, and you can never hesitate with those kind of decks. Here we are, game number 3, Evo Snowball, plus the Goblins coming in from Ian. Pedro going to be running Barbell Xe. I believe we saw Adriel use the Snowball Barbell Boss Bandit deck. It looks like he could be running that. Ian on the other side using the Goblinstein. So pretty interesting.
Goblinstein, kind of a decent counter to the Furnace, which is why we might be seeing more of it these days, but in my opinion, not the best counter, but I still like the Goblinstein, even though not really one of the strongest champions in the game. There's going to be a Ram Rider coming down, and there it is, Ram Rider right behind that Royal Ghost. This is basically where we saw Royal Ghost yesterday, was in bridge spam period, usually coupled with Boss Bandits, sometimes coupled with the Evo Battle Ram. And we do have a... Sorry, go ahead, AC.
Yeah, and I mean, just right here, the matchup yesterday was, he had the Snowball, and the Snowball helped a lot for defense, but I'm really liking the idea of Evo Zap for offense. I think the Evo Zap plus the Boss Bandit plus the Ghost, it's just going to be really difficult for Ian once it hits late into double, into triple, for him to just stop the onslaught that will come from Pedro's deck.
And not a lot done yet, but what I was going to say is that we are going to have a reward for people watching. I see there's about 35,000 of you guys watching here on YouTube. The only caveat is if you typed !stream rewards in the YouTube chat, your reward will be delayed. So I don't know how they implemented that. I think it's one of the greatest things they've implemented, but if you're spamming stream rewards in YouTube chat, you might have difficulties with your QR code. So anyway, rewards coming your way in just a little bit with some great technology here in 2025. Let's get back to the game with two basically untouched sides of the board.
Yeah, and a pretty interesting interaction right there for Ian. Uses the Evo Snowball, and it almost kind of helps Pedro. It lined up the Xe to be able to take out all of the troops in tow for Ian, and a pretty clean defense right there. Oh, we finally, it feels like this entire game we haven't seen any chip damage, and here we go. Now that we're heading into overtime, both these players finally getting these offensive plays going.
And Boss Bandit not quite finding a way to break on through yet. Ram Rider coming down the lane, 27-66 and 29-17.
Gonna get a
nice control there.
Yeah, gonna get another dash, and I mean, both these players just kind of defending, sees the Evo Xe going opposite lane, and tries to apply pressure. This is going to be pretty good chip damage, I guess, getting a couple swings, and I think Ian's kind of just okay with that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you're going to try to bait that out opposite lane by going Xe to the right, that means you must have a plan here on the right-hand side. And, you know, Ian doing a good job of just completely clogging up the lane, not really having a good way or place for that lightning. Now lightning should maybe come down. And there's the lightning just in time, waits for the ability to come off, so could get a little extra value, then baits out the arrows, now needs to go in. 3 elixir in the advantage is PEDRO. Can he turn it into something? 22-19, PEDRO in the lead, 26-61. Obviously, this is an elimination game.
And as we head into triple elixir, it's going to be interesting to see how Ian wants to approach it. Is he going to want to try and get one last mad dash? Is he going to try and get aggressive? And you see right there, getting aggressive, going in with the Goblinstein at the bridge. And that boss bandit is getting shots on top of the tower, getting it all the way down. Sub 1,000 HP now with the help of the lightning, and just a beautiful interaction from PEDRO. And that is trouble for Ian.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know how I feel about the Goblinstein right at the bridge, especially if you're not going to immediately use the ability to protect the Goblinstein himself, and the Goblin monster just stays alive. So not quite able to min-max the way that Ian had suspected because of the pressure that went down on that right-hand lane. As you can see here, once again, Ram Rider with Evo Xe in tow. Evo Xe going to make quick work of that. Boss Bandit crosses the lane, and this should do it, AC. Ram Rider does connect, now close enough for a lightning. Ian is eliminated. PEDRO stays alive.
Yeah, very nice celebration from PEDRO. Brilliant game overall, and it just felt a little too simple for a game 3 right there. PEDRO just controlling the entire match, setting up the Evo Xes, getting value with his lightning. I don't know.
Definitely important to have some chill when you're playing. And you know, that's one thing that we used to see in the teams format. Actually, I feel like a lot more than we see now was people getting tilted. I'm not going to say any names because at this point it feels like picking on people that I've known for a very long time that I actually really enjoy. But yeah, that tilt is never good. And we saw a little bit out of Arden yesterday. I heard Juicy and Rich talking about it, and it's completely understandable. Like I said, I rage, and I've never done anything competitive in Clash Royale, so really respectable kind of a character quality from both of these guys. PEDRO getting nice connection early on here. Clown taking a bit of damage, and we love seeing PEDRO play Mortar. So we'll see how this fares against a deck that should do an okay job controlling it. Not necessarily a favorable matchup for either of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be one of those matchups where better player should probably win this. Clown going to be running the quick cycle, wall breakers plus minor. Then on the other side, PEDRO, you know, a lot of these decks have 1 or 2. So far, PEDRO has ran 4 Goblin cards out of 5 possible cards. That might be the record after the first 5 to see 4 Goblins already be used.
And still does get another mortar shot there. Uses the Goblin Gang over the middle to deal with the Skellies. Then gets the Spear Gobs logged off the board by Clown, but still allows that mortar to get one more shot on tower. And right now, the PEDRO pressure is just absolutely relentless. Clown having a hard time kind of creating offense in single, which is a place where a lot of times Minor Wallbreaker does a good job to create some offense, but PEDRO's saying I can play that game as well.
Cannon card placed directly in the middle, and again predicted. I mean, it is insane how often we watch PEDRO and talk about predictions. It is so incredible what he is able to get down in time. Both of the wall breakers get a shot, and there we go. One shot. It might even get a second one, and it does. The tower walked onto the Skeleton King, and another shot. Are you kidding me?
Okay, that last shot felt almost egregious, but I am very happy about it being a Mortar fan. Huge play there. Misses the prediction on top of the wall breakers plus. Did get minions, maybe? Was there something that dropped and then immediately got taken off the board from the arrows?
Yep, that's going to be the minions, yep.
Yeah, wow. Great prediction there once again. Almost gets the wall breakers and the minions for a +2 trade and another Mortar connection, but man, I just know that Mortar's still always my favorite because when anyone plays it like this, it gets me more excited than anyone playing anything else as well.
Yeah, and right there, I love what Pedro is doing with these mortars that are placed in the middle. We see him place it in front of the crown tower on this one, but it's the wall breakers getting taken out by the cannoneer before they can make it to the mortar is such a valuable position for him to be in. And I mean, look, even if he's able to defend this game is over. Pedro, incredible.
That was so good, man. That was one of the best mortar games I've ever seen played. Even at the end, that was such a great offensive send by Pedro at the bridge when he goes, I think it was Evo mortar plus gang plus something else that baited out the poison from Clown so that he could get another mortar down that would immediately connect on tower. The matchup, you got to reset here. The South Korean on the left, the Brazilian on the right. Here we go, game number 2.
Game 2 on its way. Both players using the Princess Tower. Pedro going to be cycling the Ice Spirit. Clown cycling the Evo Snowball plus the Fire Spirit. So Pedro still could be running Minor Poison with the Ice Spirit. On the other side, Clown. Still a couple things available to him. I've seen some weirder variations of the RG, so definitely could be an opportunity for that. But I like that Clown's using a deck with the Spirit Empress. I think that's exactly what he needs to do. And then on the other side, Pedro, it's either Graveyard Poison or Minor Poison. Either way, I can be content with that as his decision for his game number 2. Berserker going to be able to defend the Goblin Drill with relative ease. Barbarrel going to clean up all the Goblins, plus protect the Berserker. Now the Berserker is going to be able to cross the bridge, get a little bit of pressure with the Graveyard, but cleaned up way too easily. I would have liked to see Pedro be a little bit more patient. You know, Graveyard definitely relies on getting damage over time, and I think that's probably a little bit too early to go in offensively. Barbarrel going to clean up everything quite nicely. So a little bit of a stalemate as we head into double elixir in just about 25 seconds.
And Pedro going with, I'm trying to think if he ran Graveyard at all yesterday. I'd have to go take a closer look, but I do like him changing it up a little bit. Did.
Yeah, I wonder if he kind of saw Sam have a lot of success with this and recognized that this is something that he wanted to try and do as well. So, makes sense. Sam, if there's ever going to be a guy when he's using a normal deck to copy from, it would be him. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. As Evo Furnace comes down, that Spirit Empress just hanging out over the river, just putting in work, baits out the Knight because you want to keep the Evo Furnace alive. Doesn't have enough elixir to pull the trigger on the Graveyard. I mean, he does, but he knows it's going to be pretty easily defended. And there we go, GUI opposite.
Fire Spirits spawning like crazy, going to be able to take out the Empress almost fully, but not exactly entirely. Wow. Princess Tower going to be able to clean it up nicely, though, and Pedro feeling pretty good about himself right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things. That's more of like a mental loss than anything for Clown. Just knowing, like, look, I don't really know how to defend this much better, and now I'm all of a sudden down by 700 HP. You see a push coming in here on the right-hand side, and another GY goes in. Berserker does a decent job, but always going to give a little bit of poison value as well. 1609, 2485. Clown needs a miracle, and also he looks a little defeated right now. It's a little bit less than his usual calm, AC. I think he's feeling a bit demoralized, figuring out, knowing, like, between the Ice Spirit, the Barrel, and the Knight, and the Berserker, I don't know how these drills are going to make any impact.
Yeah, he's just defending too cleanly, getting too much pressure offensively. Gets the Evo Knight out once again, and I mean, these bridge battles that he's supposed to win, he's not winning. And that's always, wow. The Fire Spirit.
Yeah, yep. What an interaction there from the high Evo Furnace, putting in work on the Empress, putting on work at the bridge, and then of course the drill comes in with the Evo Snowball, and then the Evo Furnace Fire Spirit jumps backwards to clear things up. All things going well for Pedro as he goes another GY plus Berserker plus Poison, gonna get good damage in. And on the other side of it, Clown just, I mean, a lick of damage, literally like the damage from the drill coming in.
Okay, right there.
Okay.
Gets a pretty solid fireball. One of the goblins going to get some more stabs. Three shots on
stabs.
top of the tower. That's pretty massive damage. And now it's just, can he finally get a good defense on these graveyards? Can he lock it up, not receive any extra chip?
And right there, really clean defense. Now we got Evo Knight and Evo Furnace at the bridge. Baits out the fireball. Evo Knight misses the fireball. Tanking for the graveyard. No, not yet. Evo Snowball moves everything back, which actually ends up hurting because now you got 4 Fire Spirits running down the lane. Sometimes that Evo Snowball can really do you dirty at the bridge. PEDRO very excited about staying alive and moving on. Looking at this bracket.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at PEDRO,
Into Sam needs to clean things up here. He needs to recognize he's going up against a whole nother level of opponent here. I mean, that's what CRL is all about, is it just gets harder and harder and harder as you go on. And I'd love to see Sam maybe tighten up some of what we've seen in the past. And I was actually going to say, I heard that he'd run recruits in the Swiss or group stage and people were complaining about it. Lean into it, dude.
Yeah.
Do what you do best. Play something weird, throw them off.
yeah, anytime you talk about like a competitive event, and I heard this and I saw the exact same complaints online. You should never be legally allowed to complain about somebody's deck in a competitive match. You can complain about the meta, you can complain about, you know, a lot of different things, but you know, you are trying to win X amount of money. You are trying to win a ticket to Atlanta. You are trying to win in general. So I don't care what decks you have to use. I don't care if you're gonna feel bad at the end of it. You do whatever it takes to win. So love to see that he's running recruits in this.
I couldn't agree more, and I would say it even more angrily, I think, than you did. So I thought you said it really, really well there, AC. I completely agree. When you're at the top of the top, every single person you're running into should be one of, if not the best player you've ever run into. Any competitive advantage that you can take that is within the bounds of the game, it's not even worth discussing.
And even
because
then.
it just makes you, yeah, exactly. And even then, I'm gonna drive to your house and disconnect your internet. That's on me, okay? I took the time to do that. But seriously, I completely agree, and I love what we're seeing here from Sam. So here we go, PEDRO going much more down the line, and a deck that we saw run a few times yesterday. Really interesting changes to kind of what Hog looks like right now. It's a lot less, we're seeing a lot less Hog EQ Firecracker. We're seeing a lot more Hog Furnace with Mighty Miner and Lightning. So we'll see if that's exactly what we're seeing here. And then Sam on the other side of it, Evo Cage, Evo Recruits, and Piggies. Sam actually one of the OG Piggies players, actually.
Wow, yeah. A little bit of a throwback, a little bit of a callback right there. Totally forgot that he's kind of one of those players that popularized it. Yeah, wow, I had totally forgotten that. What a nice bit of history that you reminded me of.
Yeah, well, it's been almost a decade doing this. Happy to be doing it. Arrows comes out on top of that Evo Furnace. Evo Furnace going to be a bit of a nuisance. Last card, AC, only one spell, huh?
Yeah,
There's the
okay.
barrel. I was going to say, I feel like the barrel has to be in here.
Yeah, not sure how I feel about the arrows. I'm sure that got to do with how the meta is set up or how his opponent plays. Usually I like the fireball, but you know, there's clearly got to be some sort of reason, and that's why he's running the arrows first. And still waiting for PEDRO's last card. I know you mentioned lightning. Are we thinking that it's lightning or fireball or?
It feels like it's still probably lightning, just because they're, you know, going up against recruits. It's really hard to find a good spot for lightning, and if, you know, Sam is thinking the same thing about lightning, then I would try to hide my flying machine in the stack of recruits as often as I can, just to make it a little more difficult to get on top of. But we'll have to see here. Just because I called lightning, it'll probably end up being Goblin Curse and not make any sense, just because that's the Captain Curse.
Man, you have been just like brutalized over the years.
I'm a broken man when it comes to making calls now, man, especially because I've actually gotten much better at it.
You're so quick to protect yourself.
Yeah, but they're playing merge tactics right now, so it doesn't even matter. So Royal Hogs come through, get some good damage on the right-hand side. I mean, this is kind of what happens when you're playing against recruits Piggies, right? You just keep your two towers within about 100 or 200 HP of one another and try to stay in the damage lead, which Pedro's done half of that conversation as he needs to get a little bit more damage on that bottom left-hand tower, just trying to figure out how he breaks through. Other than stacking Evo Furnaces, which I do think he should do, and not missing flying machines like he did on that left-hand side, what does Pedro need to do to win this game?
Yeah, I really like the idea of stacking furnaces, try and lightning cycle. I think that's exactly what you need to be doing. Can you defend for long enough? Can you somehow get back in the lead? All these kind of things are going to be happening. And right here, able to get the flying machine right there. I mean, Pedro doing what he can.
Yeah, last second flying machine there, getting the Mighty Miner out for that 3-card cycle to make sure he can keep getting lightnings in. We are neck and neck in this game. Number 1, 7 seconds remain. Piggy's coming in on the left-hand side. Obviously going to try to get a lightning down on the left as well. There's the lightning. No damage from the pigs, and a very close game number 1. And that is exactly what I was talking about, man, when it comes down to the difference of maybe Igor and Pedro was happy to just sit back and let the game come to him till the very end, just recognizing you have arrows, piggies, I have lightning, I can win this spell battle race. Really, really hurting or wanting for a big spell was OP Sam in game number 1, as we're about to hop into game number 2. And again, Pedro, it's funny that you say he's like the Muhammad Light of this tournament, because he's also doing what Muhammad Light does when he's at his most threatening, which is he's just vibing. He's just having a good time. He's clearly on call, having a good time with his friends. We're seeing a lot of smiles, a lot of laughs. He's going through the lower bracket. Like, it's all, he's replicating Momo right now. If there's anyone you want to replicate, it's the GOAT.
Yeah, no better player than right there. Zopsam gonna be running the P.E.K.K.A with no chef. Pedro recognizing the situation, going all in on the left lane, going in with the RG. It's gonna get 4 or 5 shots. Actually, maybe just 3. Are you kidding me? It's the 3 elixir version of the Empress is so strong. It shocks me every single time.
Yeah, that's why I was keeping pretty quiet during what you were saying, because I just wanted to count, because I know that after the buff, the attack speed and the HP, I mean, look at how much damage it did on the left-hand side. I mean, just so much cleanup, so much good defense. The naked, well, let's not say naked, that's old. The Spirit Empress by herself does more damage than the RG by himself in that sense. It was absolutely crazy. Although this counter push is pretty devastating.
Yeah, right there, that's going to be the left tower completely destroyed. Pedro taking one of the towers. And really, I mean, with the fishermen, with the guards, he should be able to defend this. Instead, Sam recognizing that it should be a relatively easy defense, going in with the aggressive Ram Rider. I like that, and that's going to be left tower down and king tower damage.
2-tower game. How do you feel about this matchup? I mean, obviously RG's in the pocket is something that we've talked about for a long time, but you have the P.E.K.K.A here, and you know, at least the Golden Knight to distract the Fish Boy for a second. Does this still lean towards RG?
I think so. Yeah. I think Pedro just built up too much of a lead. We can see Sam get pretty frustrated right here. The zaps are perfectly timed, and it's still not really mattering. Getting the tower down low. I just don't think Sam can create enough pressure with the P.E.K.K.A and the Ram Rider. Pedro's going to defend too easily amongst guards and fishermen.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you see like the mad dash to get a tower at the end of the game. You know, your opponent steals your first tower with 3 seconds left, and all of a sudden you have 30 elixir going down the opposite lane. And that's kind of what the story was of this entire game, just over and over and over.
Yeah, and Spirit Emperor's gonna come out, try and take out the Wizard. Not gonna entirely happen. 10 seconds left. Not enough time. The Fisherman is gonna be able to yank away any of the troops that are trying to get to the game. And that's gonna be a 2-0 clean sweep coming in for Pedro. All smiles, chuckling, laughing, enjoying himself. Sam able to make it to the top 4. Is that what we landed on? Top 4?
Yep, top 4, and then there were 3. As you see, Sam pretty upset. Turns off.
I actually really couldn't tell you what it is even. So super excited.
I shouldn't say that out loud on all levels. And these are the archetypes or win conditions he's played over the last little bit. Royal Giant, Hog, Graveyard, Mortar, Ram Rider, Drill, Wall Breakers. 7 different games, 7 different win cons, no repeats.
Ooh.
Love to see it.
Wow. That's man, going up against somebody, and so obviously some of the